Welcome to this week's episode of Coffee with the Journalist, brought to you by One Pitch. The guests on our show include some of the most notable journalists from the top US-based publications who cover topics including technology, lifestyle and culture, health, science, consumer products, and business news. We discuss their role, the types of stories they cover, what their inbox looks like, and how they connect with sources. Joining us this week is Ashley Carman, a senior reporter, producer, and host for The Verge. She writes and pitches news articles, features, and scoops about the podcasting business, hardware startups, and social networks. She's the co-host and producer of the podcast, Why'd You Push That Button?, and hosts and produces the YouTube series In the Making. During today's episode, Ashley talks about her process for vetting pitches, a story she's been working on for over a year, her appreciation for readers' feedback, and more. Let's hear more from Ashley now.
Welcome, everyone. This is Coffee with the Journalist. I'm Beck Bamberger, founder of One Pitch. Also, BAM, we represent all these venture-backed startups, technology companies of all sorts. We are in full swing of summer now, which is wonderful. I have the door open. The breeze is coming through. And today with us, who also covers podcasting and the audio industry, by the way, is Ashley Carman, senior reporter at The Verge. Hi, Ashley.
Hey there.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
You know, first thing, we need to talk about your Twitter photo. Editor Ashley Carman is a beautiful brown-haired woman. Where did that come from?
So I used to review phone cases, like silly phone cases, like wild phone cases that are statement pieces, I guess you could say.
Yes.
I don't know. Like one day I randomly found I think I was looking up one of my old phone reviews, phone case reviews. And when I looked it up, I found this like Chinese website that had kind of like reviewed my review.
Oh.
It was very weird. And yeah, they called me a beautiful brown-haired woman full of ridiculous ridicule.
I see that. Ridiculous ridicule. Okay.
Yeah. I was just like, this is so strange. And I actually don't even know what happened to that article. I don't even think I have a link of it. I just had screenshotted that.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, are you drinking anything? Coffee? Something? Anything?
I am drinking my SodaStream water.
There you go. Me too. Mm-hmm. I love my little SodaStream. I get a lot of satisfaction with the bubbles when you press it and right?
Well, I have such a seltzer habit that I actually got my SodaStream for free. I found it.
Oh, nice. Where'd you find it?
On the curb in my neighborhood, and it said like works. It said on a post-it, it said works.
So wait a second. By the way, it's hard for me to laugh because I'm a little under the weather, but you were walking in your neighborhood and you found it?
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of a backstory, which is that for my boyfriend's birthday, I bought him a SodaStream. And I bought the soda. We don't live together, but he lives like 5 minutes away. So obviously I'm going to be using the SodaStream a lot.
Yes.
Anyway, I bought him a SodaStream. That same day or the next day, I'm walking in my neighborhood and I see that there's a free SodaStream on the curb and it has a little post-it that says like works. And I was just like, you know what? I want a SodaStream too. And like, I want to buy one. They're kind of expensive. So I was like, I'll just take it. And yeah,
wow,
it works.
That is
totally
classic. I feel like that's classic New York.
Yeah.
You just leave it on the curb. You put free, works, whatever your little message is, and it will be taken. Yes.
And now I love it, and I have my SodaStream ready to go at all times.
Oh, wow. That's a good curb grab. I haven't heard of one that good recently.
Well, and I'm going to pay it forward. When my boyfriend and I move in together, I'll leave this on the curb.
Put it back on the curb.
Yeah.
And you know what you should do is elaborate on the Post-it note. This was once a gift to me. It is now yours, dear neighbor.
Exactly. Good energy.
Okay. Well, we have lots to cover, Ashley. First of all, how's your inbox?
It's chaotic. It's a lot for me. It's a lot.
Yes. Do you have a system? Do you have a way in which you organize? Specifically pitches. That's what this show is all about.
I wish I did. I kind of try to just like vet through I vet through the subject line. If I know, because there's some obvious junk. And if it's obvious junk, it's going just straight up delete, not even archive.
Okay.
It's just delete.
Okay.
I try to delete or archive everything. And if I see something that maybe is a company I actually cover or potentially like an interesting idea, I might read it, take note of it. I don't respond though. If we want to go there, I don't respond.
Yes. Okay. You're a non-responder. Okay. Got it. And then do you ever pull those archived emails up 6 months later or something like that?
For sure.
Okay.
There's been plenty of times where, let's say, maybe someone pitched me when they were starting out a tech company or something. And then all of a sudden they're in the news, or all of a sudden they're kind of maybe a bigger deal than they were when they launched 8 months ago. I might look and be like, oh, actually, I either talked to them or I have their info here. So yeah, the archive definitely comes in handy.
Got it. This is a very common process other peers of yours do, which is just file it away, just like let it roll. And then when you need something, you do a search, your own personal Google, and then you find something from whenever ago.
Exactly.
Now, what is a subject line that's clearly junk to you?
Oh, I'm somehow on like a bunch of trash newsletters or something, like mailing list. I'm on some kind of mailing list.
Oh,
Things like that, where I'm just like, how the hell? I guess I could probably unsubscribe, and I'm trying to be better about that whenever I see something flagged, where I'll be like, like an example would be Father's Day gift ideas for a car or tech lover.
Oh,
in your family.
That has nothing to do with,
where I'm just like, how and why, like, delete, that might be, I truly don't know. And then, there's a bunch where it's maybe someone who I reached out to for one story like years ago where it was actually very relevant. But then they start sending me all their press releases where it's like an industry I don't cover, but it was like a one-off story. So,
oh no. Gosh, in a week, let's say, how many pitches do you get?
I mean, I couldn't even begin to guess. Probably hundreds.
Hundreds?
Yeah, I would say so.
Oh, God. Honestly, I'm a little surprised because you have quite a niche focus. It's podcasting in the audio industry, which, okay, but now maybe you argue, well, audio is quite encompassing of a lot of things, but I don't know. I would think that's like, you don't need every pitch.
I think it's because I've done so many different things at the Verge that I just, as I've transitioned to different beats and done different things, I just end up on 10 different people's radars for each thing. And then it just gets out of control.
Yes. So how do you make or come up with the inspiration for a big, juicy story? So for example, we were just talking about this before we got on. You have this sensational article, which I cannot wait. I haven't read the whole entire thing, but the podcasting hype house from hell, which is about China's biggest audio platform funded this frat boy dream in Beverly Hills. I mean, this is like an in-depth, I'm sure this didn't come from a pitch, for example, Ashley. So how did you come up with the story for this? Where did those story inspirations come from?
This I was actually tipped to.
Oh,
yeah. Tips are obviously always great. Yeah. So for this, it was a tip. It was one that I kind of investigated a little bit. So the story was in the works for over a year.
Wow.
Yeah. And so in March of 2020, when I first started looking into it, there was some stuff, but some of the research I did, I had enough to like kind of have an idea of what was happening, but not enough to really feel like I could publish something. Right.
Yeah.
And then there's a lawsuit that was filed by former employees of this podcasting company, Himalaya / this like offshoot called High Studios. They filed a lawsuit alleging wrongful termination that went into a lot of details about kind of this chaotic party culture at this home. And so that lawsuit really became pretty foundational to this story because that's a way to kind of enter in, get a better sense of what people are alleging happened. And from there, I was really able to kind of start reaching out to more people. And luckily, my reach out sort of worked.
Wow. It feels a little bit like Fire Festival-ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
People say that.
Gosh. See. Wow. So this piece that you've now posted, like actually today, is this actually today?
It was right before the weekend.
A couple days ago.
Yeah.
Actually, years in the making.
A year. Over a year, but yeah.
I saw somewhere on here you said in 2019 you started talking to this guy, the CEO.
Yeah. So part of the reason why this story is interesting to me is because I had covered their launch years ago. So it was a company I was familiar with, hadn't really thought much about since the launch. vaguely, and then
wow. Just wow. Wow. Oh my gosh. So other stories then, this one came from a tip, but let's say any other story you might just kind of do. Do you have a way in which you get inspiration? Do you go like on a walk? Are you like in your meditation room, or I don't know what, like everyone has something. So is there any way in which you channel ideas, or where do they come from?
I wish I had a full, like beautiful process that yielded incredible ideas. But really for me, because I'm such a beat reporter, I'm on the news beat, constantly. So writing the news pretty much daily on your beat tends to show you some trends. It tends to at least put you on people's radar. And from that, you can kind of start to get ideas because you're like, hey, I've kind of written about the same thing like 100 times now. Not 100, but like 3 times now. The same idea. Maybe this is like, there's a bigger story here. Or maybe you're tracking a company that you're like, why are, what's going on here? Because I haven't heard much from them, or they have a new strategy. So sometimes I think when you're on the news beat, you can kind of start to branch out into these other stories from there.
Now that's interesting too. You said, I haven't heard anything in a while. So sometimes if you're like, wait, what happened to that buzzing startup? You're like, wait a second. That's a clue potentially that there's something going on.
For sure.
Oh, gosh. I hadn't thought about a quiet period. Although, you know what, for a lot of startups that are about to IPO, they will be very quiet specifically for that reason, because they can't be making a lot of noise before a filing. Oh, interesting.
Today's interview will continue after this brief message brought to you by OnePitch. Are you curious to see the unique ways OnePitch helps PR professionals and marketers pitch journalists? Head to onepitch.co to learn about our new OnePitch score and see how easy it is to find the right journalist to pitch your news to. Sign up for your free account today. Now, back to today's episode.
Okay, Ashley, I would love to do a fill in the blank section here. So I will give you the phrase and you could just fill it in. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Great. My favorite sources always.
Oh my gosh. My favorite sources are candid.
Yes. The most annoying sources always
want me to review quotes with them, which doesn't happen, but they will request it.
Do you ever get can I see the whole story?
Yeah.
Do you still get that? I thought that was like,
I think it's for people who are totally familiar with the process, and obviously I don't do that at all, but it's kind of annoying.
Yeah. You'll get a response from me if
you understand my beat and what I cover and it's relevant.
Mm-hmm. You can follow up with me if...
Like you mean via email?
Yes.
I guess if you think your story is relevant and I haven't responded.
Only that. Okay. It would be a huge help if you
had an angle when you're pitching.
God, I would think so. I would hope so.
So many people will just be like, FYI, like new company launched. And I'm like, that's not an angle. Like, why do I care?
Yeah. That strikes me as odd. Okay. The best compliment I received about my work, besides that Chinese one, Ashley.
It's always nice when people reach out to thank you for your work or be like, this resonated or this was important to me and I'm glad you did this work.
Oh, that's nice. Yes. My favorite stories to write about are...
I love drama.
Like that piece that you did write, which I just love. That's horrible. The podcasting hype house from hell. That should be a good indicator for people wanting to pitch you. You love drama. Okay. One thing I think people should know more about is...
Know more about
you, about the Verge. I mean, really anything.
I guess I'll say they should know more about the podcasting industry and read my work.
Yes. The best last thing I ate or cooked was?
I went to Ample Hills this weekend, which I love.
Ooh.
And it was delicious. Ice cream.
Oh, what type of ice cream?
They have a new location by Prospect Park now. So we went there and tried it out, and they had it's not Thai tea, but it's like a iced tea or something flavor with
that sounds good.
Blackberry jam in it.
Oh God,
Yeah, it was really good.
That sounds like super summery, perfect.
Great.
That's lovely. Quarantine has taught me.
I think it honestly taught me to chill.
That's a good lesson. My favorite Sunday is...
Since we talked about ice cream. Sunday like the day, right?
Yes, Sunday like the day. Correct. Not a Sunday as an ice cream.
I could really totally go off about my favorite
Well, you know
Sunday.
what? I've never had someone have that interpretation, so you could tell us both answers.
I'll just say that for my favorite Sunday, like ice cream sundae, it needs to have fresh whipped cream. That's like a big thing for me. Like homemade.
Yeah, none of that fake stuff. Yeah,
homemade
exactly.
fresh. We don't do like ready whip. And my ideal Sunday in the summer, I would say, is a bike ride, ideally bike to the beach or just bike around the city and have like a nice lunch or dinner outside.
Lunch or dinner outside, yes. Are you in New York City right now?
Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn.
Oh, how is it? I'm going in a few weeks.
It's really great. Yeah, it's nice. We're having kind of a cold summer right now. Like it's rainy and weird, but yeah, it hasn't been like great, but it's technically not summer yet. So
okay, great. I have many a memory of like me stomping around Manhattan in the summer with my armpits all like soaked because it's 87 degrees out. Yeah. But still, you're loving it just because you're there. Exactly. And so I'm preparing for that time coming up in a couple weeks. So okay, that's good to know. Okay, we covered the Sundays. Okay, that's it for our fill in the blank thing. Well, what are you, Ashley, especially since you like drama? What are you reading, watching, listening to? I imagine that's a big part of your job. Mm-hmm. Anything you can give us, because we're happy to hear.
Yeah, so I finally, as far as podcasts go, I finally got around to the podcast Wind of Change. Oh. It was from Pineapple Street. They teamed up and did, I think it was exclusive to Spotify. I'm not sure if it's still exclusive. I kind of think it's not, but it might be. And it is about this idea that a 1980s rock group that had a very successful song kind of about the coming down of the Berlin Wall actually didn't write the song and that it was a plant from the CIA.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
So it's just like it's really well done. It's really, really well done. I don't know the ending yet. I haven't finished yet.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a really, really well done story.
God, so I love like good, well-researched, in-depth stories like that. Okay. Yeah, you got any others that you love? We should definitely ask you, what are your podcast favorites since you review and talk about podcasting?
Yeah. So I listen to one podcast religiously.
Which one?
Is called Pivot.
Okay.
It's with Kara Swisher and Scott Galloway.
I was like, wait a second. Yes. Okay.
And as a tech reporter,
yes,
I think they just have interesting discussions. So I enjoy listening to them. And then I tend to, that's like one I know I'm going to listen to throughout the week. Mm-hmm. And then I'll sometimes sort of bounce around. Like sometimes I'll do the daily. I listen to the Verge's Vergecast every so often as well. I do, these narrative shows. I recently listened to, I think it was Radiolab did a show about Bernie Madoff. Like after he died, I listened to it because I was just curious to learn more about him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nice because I take walks and cook. And so I like to have something to listen to.
Oh, me too. I like to have something. Yeah, got to have a good something to listen to. You sew as well? What do you like to sew?
Oh, no, I don't sew. No sewing.
I thought you said while you're also sewing or walking or cooking. I was like, sewing? No. Okay, gotcha. Not a sewer. Okay. Well, that's good. Oh, I see we have an audience ask here from Laura Nickel from BAM, who obviously I know over at BAM. And she is asking here, is it more helpful to provide available expert sources or specific detailed story angles in a pitch? How would you answer that?
That's interesting. I'll admit that I really don't use, when people email me expert sources, I typically don't really take advantage of them because oftentimes because of what I'm writing about is so specific. Yeah. But here's what I'll say. Like I've had people reach out and be like, hey, I think I should intro you to this person that works at this company. And it might be a podcasting audio company. And I'm like, actually, that would be awesome to have like an introduction to the CEO or to someone who's pretty high up where we can just talk. It can be off the record where I'm like, I just want to chat with them. So that to me is super useful because then I know what's going on at the company and I can also reach out and be like, hey, I'm working on this story that seems relevant. That has been the most fruitful way to do kind of the like expert source angle. But then as far as the story angles go, yeah, I think it's typically like come with an angle, come with really specific news. Yeah, that's typically the best way to do those things.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I hope that helps Laura's question then. Perfect. You did mention earlier when we were talking, like, what's the angle? Like, give me the story angle, not just
it helps that I cover news because then people can reach out with news, but it's like, just reach out with the relevant news.
Exactly. Relevant news for you, ... Well, Ashley, what would you say you believe the future of journalism looks like?
The future of journalism.
We took a hard pivot there, but I was like, oh, that's my, I got to ask this. Yes. Especially, which by the way, you were an intern not too long ago, like 10-ish, almost now years. So, it's been a while. Yeah. What are you thinking?
I mean, I think like everybody, I'm kind of watching the Substack newsletter transition of the independent journalists. I think that the trend towards kind of this collective of not necessarily freelancers, but like collective of independent journalists is going to be important. And like, they're going to have to pool their powers, sort of like a newsroom. I do worry about the future of sort of these bigger feature stories and how they can be done if people don't have access to legal resources. But I think that, I think that's the big trend to watch. I don't necessarily have a hot take on like, will that be the future? And I think it'll work for some people, but I think it also might not work for others. The thing that concerns me more about the future of journalism is I know multiple people who kind of hate on certain publications who don't work in media and maybe aren't as familiar with how media works. And I don't think they necessarily have good reasons to be like, I hate the media. I don't know where this came from. I think it came from Trump, but like,
oh, interesting.
That just concerns me as like a person who reads a lot and cares about different things, that people are so skeptical and kind of hating of the media, which I understand. Maybe there's good reason for it in certain cases, but I think that like the broad just I hate media is kind of concerning. So I think the future of journalism is kind of figuring out how to combat that.
Yeah. Who do you know saying that? Like to you, your face, or like you're seeing online, or you're seeing just people? Like, what would you say?
People have said things to me.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking, but it has come up in conversation with people. And yeah. I mean, to be fair, I'm not like a combative person. I'm very open and very willing to talk about things. So I think that might be why people are willing to kind of have these conversations with me. But it is concerning from a standpoint of like, what can journalism do to help people understand maybe how the process works? Or, I don't know. This is a big thing that I can't solve, but like someone out there can solve.
How it's a piece of a functioning democracy and freedom of voice. I mean,
you even see it with like the tech companies trying to kind of control their own narratives and
of course.
run around media. So, that's like to a lesser extent, it has obvious motivations, but
I am yet to have heard that. So that's interesting. I wonder if more people will mention that. And interesting that some people would say that to you. Do they know that you work in media? Like, or are you like at some dinner party and you're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, I hate media. And you're like, no, I'm in media.
One person that in particular I'm thinking of did know. So it's kind of
the goal.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not going to,
you don't need to dwell on that.
Rage.
Yes. So. Wow. Well, they can move to some place where there's no media at all and see how that goes. Okay. Well, let's play my favorite part, Ashley, which is our Mad Libs, and see what we get. Sometimes they're very accurate. Sometimes they're just silly. We'll see. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. The first is an emotion.
Happy.
Next is an adjective.
Mushy.
Another adjective.
Soft.
Then a greeting. Any greeting.
Hey there.
A verb.
Argue.
A noun.
Bird.
Birds. Okay. An adjective.
Oh my gosh. I need to come up with an adjective.
It's harder.
Sweaty.
There you go. Sweaty. Noun.
Ceiling fan.
Can
you tell I'm just kind of starting to look around my room?
Hey, that's how some people do that. That's perfect. Okay. A part of a pitch.
Subject line.
Subject line. A length of time.
2 minutes.
A person, ideally alive.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. And an emotion.
Is nostalgic
Yes.
an emotion?
Wait, is it nostalgic, which is Gen Z's latest thing, or is it nostalgic?
Let's go with nostalgic.
Okay, nostalgic. Okay, the regular one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or nostalgia. Whatever it is, that's the emotion of it.
Okay, great. Okay, here we go. When I think of the future of journalism, I feel happy. The pitches I receive have gone from mushy to soft. If I receive a pitch that starts with, "Hey there, Ashley," I argue. When I write stories on birds, I get a little sweaty. My favorite pitches include ceiling fans and very specific subject lines. I normally take around 2 minutes to respond to emails, but if it's Joe Biden, I will respond immediately. If you do get a response from me, you should know that I'm very nostalgic for you.
There we go.
There you go. Did any of that resonate with you, or is that just kind of silly?
I do think if Joe Biden personally emailed me, I probably would respond relatively quickly.
You'd answer. Yep. I wonder if he does send his own emails.
I bet he does.
I bet he does.
He might do mail.
People. He might do mail. Yes, that's a good point. Well, Ashley, we have come to the end, and this has been such fun with you. Every time I look at my soda stream, I will think of yours that you found on the street in Brooklyn there. I think that is so great. And thank you for sharing your time with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Coffee with the Journalist featuring Ashley Carman from The Verge. If you enjoy listening to our show, make sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. And if you have a moment, please leave us a review to share your thoughts about the show and today's guest. To learn more about the latest tools on OnePitch and to subscribe to our weekly podcast newsletter, head to our website at onepitch.co. We'll see you all next week with a brand new guest and even more insights about the journalists you want to learn more about. Until then, start great stories.